So for those of you that don't know Prime Guidance, we help sellers navigate the challenges of selling on Amazon, Walmart, eBay, and other marketplaces. We help companies devise the right strategy and deploy the right tactics to grow your business quickly and efficiently. Our services are pretty broad, including coaching and advisory services, strategy development, ad campaign management, content, and much more. Our goal is to empower sellers to grow faster and operate smarter. So let's talk about why would you sell internationally? You know, if you're doing so well on Amazon US, why move internationally? And you know, some of the key points here are the reach, right? You can reach so many customers. Just Amazon's European marketplaces alone help you sell on across 28 countries. In America here, it feels like we are the big fish, but the reality is, based on the niche of your product, you may find that other countries are actually stronger, or you may find that I've got a lot of opportunity in other countries because they can't find my type of product or my brand or what have you. And it's really important to have a plan of how can I sell globally. Just like Amazon, started in the U.S. and they began to expand throughout the globe. Every brand should be planning to do the same thing. You're short-sighted if you're not planning on it. And we'll talk about when's the right time later. Obviously, diversifying your revenue stream, having different marketplaces, just like we always tell our clients. Amazon is one marketplace, Walmart and eBay are out there, and there's other niche marketplaces that might be a great fit for you. Diversification is good. The same thing with diversification across multiple countries. Spreading out your revenue stream makes a lot of sense. You're able to touch base with new customers and really learn how customers' product preferences and purchasing behavior differs throughout the world. A lot of companies that maybe tried to go to internationally in the past and stumbled may be surprised it's gotten a lot easier. Now, have there been some hurdles along the way? Yes. But Amazon continues to make it more and more efficient and easier for clients or brands to expand internationally. And the competition's a lot less, right? Compared to the US, Amazon's international marketplaces have a lot less sellers, meaning more opportunity for you. It's easier to get your slice of the pie. And there's a lot of other reasons. So I want to open it up to the team. What are some of your thoughts on why clients should be selling internationally?
I think for me, the first thing would be, I was writing this down as you were saying this, is that there's probably already third-party sellers there with your product. And, that's going to be, or it could be a problem, for you. And then the second most important thing for me, or maybe even the most important, would be controlling your listing. Because if you're not over there and there are third-party sellers that are, as you know, Amazon is going to let them use the details that they put into those listings, and it's going to show up on especially if you have those blanks in your listing, as we talked about over and over again, they're going to control that, that part of your listing.
Yeah, that's a great point, Wes. I actually wasn't thinking about it, but I know from real world experience working with one client now, in particular on international expansion. And, it's not even the issue of, well, wait a minute, there are these third-party sellers and they're selling my product and they're buying it. Ultimately, I'm selling it somebody wholesale. But it's more than, well, gee, if I get rid of them, I can get the retail markup. What I see very often is when these other third-party sellers are selling, they're selling at very high prices, higher than the brand typically sells. And so strictly from the perspective of the brand, a good customer experience and building a global brand, it's not just the missed revenue. It's really about that.
Or representation.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Steve, you kind of hit on one of the points of the in the market is there as many of your type of products out there. Amazon already gives us that marketplace. They do things correctly. And for example, in Germany, German people expect high quality. They expect when things are said they're going to be delivered at a time, that they are going to be delivered at a time. If anybody has ever spent time there or Switzerland or things like that, very, very exact kinds of things. But more importantly for you specifically, they're not as sensitive to pricing as we may be here in the US. And having the lowest price often is not the best strategy in places like that, because they want to be able to see the quality. And Amazon already gives us the opportunity from the logistical sides, the fulfillment, getting it to the consumers the way it's expected. Now you have the opportunity, especially if you're already playing in that higher quality, higher price point in whatever category you're in, you can play in an area where people aren't going to be quite as sensitive to it.
I think it goes back to you being in a marketplace that has less competition, right? The less competition, the less price competitiveness there generally is. And that's why in some markets like Mexico, we've seen pricing can, in some cases, be much higher because the access to the products may be less. And it's just a couple examples that we've seen anyway. There are, on the flip side, some international countries where price sensitivity may be higher. So you really have to, study, how does consumer purchasing behavior differ? And then how do I, assort products that are, not just taking one set of American products and throwing them internationally, but how do I learn from this purchasing behavior and adapt products that are perfectly well suited to these international customers that have very specific needs. I mean, I've done some consulting in Malaysia and Korea and other countries where, if you haven't been to those countries and seen how these folks shop, both in stores, online, how they purchase things cross-border and so forth, it's eye-opening. It really is much different than people imagine. And it's really important to learn the local markets. Well, one of the beauties of Amazon is you don't have to learn the local markets as much, or it's not as difficult to get into these local markets. They're kind of enabling the local markets. You just have to, get your products there and then test and learn and adapt.
Right. Yeah, I think I don't want to. That's fine. You can either way. I didn't want to preempt the timing slide, but and you allude to it in the first bullet, but for a business, there's usually 3 or 4 ways to grow a business, and that's all there is. There's diversification, and that's the toughest because now you're getting into all these new product categories that you don't have experience with. There's product development, there's new sales channels / geography, and then the other is just sort of penetration strategies, which is selling deeper into existing markets. So, I mean, just at a high level, it needs to be part of your growth strategies for any business, or at least planned growth strategies and evaluated with the other ones. But the other thing that crossed my mind in terms of the less competition, and there's certainly all kinds of factors that go into the P&L selling overseas, but very often we work with clients on what's called a product portfolio strategy. And that's okay, look at your whole product catalog and identify which ones are the best acquiring new customers, which ones are the best at driving revenue to cover overheads, which ones are the best at generating margin. And from a geographic perspective, this might also work out. You may actually find that, I may never do the revenue I'm going to do in the US, in EU, but it actually might be a more profitable, a more higher margin market. So I think, again, I would just sort of put it in the 2 buckets of potential growth strategies, but also potential, larger portfolio strategies about how you manage your profitability.